Hello, Secret Keepers. Have you ever thought to yourself, wouldn't it be cool if that thing I love was just made a little bit better in this very specific way? And how many of you stop there at the daydreaming part of the process? Well, today's guest, Josh Vicente of Modern Meepls, didn't stop at dreams. He took Shia LaBeouf's advice and just did it over and over again. We are going to talk today with Josh about manufacturing board game boards and just doing it in general. That and so much more on today's episode of the Megamoth Studios Super Secret Podcast. Shh, just do it for me. Welcome back to the show, Secret Keepers. I'm your host, gifted, maybe, talented, to be determined, Joel Watts, joined as always by my co-host,
Danny, interviewing a jury of your peers for a future something random.
Oh, no, I do not want to. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that something random, but today we have a special guest with us. Today we have Josh Vicente of Modern Meepls, maker of fine board game accessories such as the Gamey Susan. How are you doing today, Josh?
Wonderful. I like to say I got a roof over my head and I'm alive, so I'm doing pretty good.
We are going to be talking to Josh today about his life experiences that have prepared him for design and manufacturing, as well as the exciting developments in the world of high-quality game accessories. But before we get to that, Josh, I got something for you here. We got the question of the week.
Hey.
This one, today's question was actually provided by Danny right before we started. I thought it was quite inspired, so I was just like, yeah, let's go with it. Josh.
Yeah, I'll take credit.
Yeah. Josh, if you could team up with any superhero for an adventure, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. I don't know. That's a tough one because I'm not very versed in the superhero world, but I would... is Deadpool considered a superhero?
Yeah,
definitely.
Because he's just ridiculous, and I'm all about that.
There you go.
I would just be like, I'll go wherever you go, just keep talking.
Your own personal podcast right there. Just like get him hot take in after hot take.
For sure, yeah. I think he'd just be fun to listen to all the stuff he comes up with.
Mm-hmm. I would be worried about collateral damage, though, with Deadpool. I feel like he's somebody who his sidekicks are a little bit more expendable.
Yeah, well, I guess, no rain, no flowers, so it's a risk reward.
Yeah, exactly. You got to bleed a little bit for the fun.
That's it, right?
Yeah, a little suffering goes a long way.
I used to make, I had like my own shirts, and I had a shirt that said "All guts, all glory."
There you go.
I kind of want that shirt. That's really awesome.
Yeah, we'll make
thank you. Well, Danny, you came up with a question. Did you have an answer in the back of your head when you heard it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely team up with Robin and then just gaslight him into believing I was Batman. That's basically it. That's how I'm answering that question.
I feel like there's like so many follow-up questions, and yet I don't know if we could get to any of them. Would you take the approach of like, no, I'm the real Bruce Wayne, or are you just like getting some hockey pads, as they said in The Dark Knight, and dressing up like the Dark Knight?
Oh no. I'm definitely gaslighting him into believing I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm going to be trying to get the real Bruce Wayne's PIN number, if you know what I mean. And we're gonna have a good time. Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of the maybe an online scam of some sort,
If I'm successful, I'll send some cheddar your way, boys.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I feel like I have the bipolar opposite of Josh's answer for this one, because I would team up with Superman, because there are two reasons here. One, I'm somewhat of a lazy person. I don't need to be doing any of the work. I think he's going to handle it all. I just have to be back and give him a data boy here and there to make hey, good job, Superman, getting that comment, redirected from Earth. Hey, good job, Superman, taking down that gigantic T-Rex, robot. That's what he would need from me, and I would get all the stories to tell. But also, I'm a big fan, almost the opposite of Deadpool yet again. I'm a huge fan of that, Boy Scout attitude, from Superman. So I would just love to bask in the glow of, his just constant positivity.
You know, you've been making content for too long when you give the example of redirecting a comment, and I thought you said a comment. I'm like, oh, Superman saving us from the YouTube comments.
See,
Awesome.
that's what I could do for Superman. I could just run interference on like the haters online.
There you go. What were you saying, Josh?
I was going to say, you can be Captain Moral Support.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. It's a designation worthy of a captain title for sure.
Yeah.
I've always thought of myself as a bit of a, a cheerleader of sorts. Yeah, I could do the moral support work.
Yeah,
but
you wear the outfit well.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, don't tell my mom. Anyways, don't keep. All right, folks. I think this is a pretty cut and dry one. I think everybody out there is going to have a really interesting answer to this. So please don't keep your answers a secret. Go to the YouTube comment section and let us know what superhero you would team up for with an adventure and why. And while you're at it, what does he have here? Like and subscribe, because Danny says for every subscriber we get, Joel will attempt to give a wild chimp an out-of-fashion haircut and a nice kiss on the monkey lips.
That's accurate, yeah.
I mean, I do like giving my kitty cat kisses, so maybe I could have some ways with the chimp.
Yeah, you have your ways with the chimp. You know, the thing with the chimp is you try to give them a haircut, they'll try to give you facial reconstructive surgery. It's a nice trade-off.
Yeah, I have heard through cultural osmosis that basically any time that a person has owned a chimp, it goes horribly wrong. Once they hit puberty, that's pretty much it.
I was gonna say, I was like, just record it so I can see Ozzy review it on YouTube.
Yeah. I'll turn it. I'll go from a reaction content creator to somebody being reacted to as I'm brutalized by a chimp.
Yeah. That is the long game. That's what we're working
dangerous.
towards here.
See, I feel like the out-of-fashion haircut, though, I'm going to make him look like a chimp from the original Planet of the Apes instead of the remakes. That would be my approach.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach.
Ever dreamed of embarking on legendary quest, unlocking hidden secrets, and discovering untold riches? Dive into the world of X, Seekers of Fortune. It's the game that's soon to be taking the internet by storm. Sign up today at xseekersoffortune.com and start your journey to greatness. Remember, fortune favors the bold. See you there.
Oh, Josh, we had some fun there with some chimp news or some chimp ideas, but let's get into knowing you a little bit better for our audience. We always love, especially when you're a first-time guest, we love to just dig into your backstory as a gamer. So I always love to kick off our interviews with this simple question. Did you grow up in a gaming household?
I did not.
You did
not even close.
Mm-hmm. No Monopoly, no Uno, no.
I mean, I do recall playing. I think the game was called Labyrinth and like Candyland, but I don't know if those games were mine or if that was at someone's house or something. It definitely wasn't like a family affair.
Okay. Did y'all have like a game console in the house, perchance?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, that I used to go over to my friend Brandon's house to do that.
Oh, what did Brandon have? What like pulled you over to his place?
Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis.
There you go.
Yeah.
Finish him.
Yeah.
Did he put in the blood code? I'm sure he had to have.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was. And before that, I can't remember his name. I want to say it was Sean or something, but I used to go over to his house. He had a Sega Master System.
Oh,
wow.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
That was like the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo. So Sega Master System was the first, and then Sega Genesis was like the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's cool. And when you're playing Mortal Kombat, do you have like a go-to combatant?
I think it was Scorpion who I used a lot.
Get over here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we used to play that a lot.
Yeah.
Anytime I log in, like I don't get to play Mortal Kombat all that frequently, but whenever I'm at somebody's house and they pull it out, he's always my go-to. Like my first fighter. Like I feel like I get comfortable with like the controls, like the differences in the controls of the game with Scorpion, and then I branch out into finding other people.
Yeah, I haven't played in years. I think last time I played Mortal Kombat, it was like Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 maybe. I know they're on like 36 or
12,
something.
13. Yeah, something crazy.
No, they're at that point where I think the latest release was like Mortal Kombat 1. Like they called it. It's like they
Started over.
Yeah,
the clicker
like,
went past 0.
Exactly.
It's crazy. I just saw a video footage of like a new fatality where someone stuffs like a Thanksgiving turkey down someone's throat and then jumps on their stomach until they throw up all their guts. It was like they've really gone way out on the reservation.
Yeah.
They ran out of ideas.
Yeah. That's definitely a day on social media. New fatality day. That's like Christmas, a little mini Christmas that you get every few years. So I guess that brings up a good question. You mentioned you haven't played Mortal Kombat since like 2 or 3, which would have still been on the Sega Genesis. When did you discover the wider world of gaming? That where we are today, where with the games and the accessories, what led you down this path? Like, was there a specific board game or video game that kind of like it reignited you and wanting to get into this world?
So a friend of mine who I've been friends with for 25 years was like, you should come to my buddy's house, Dick and Kapoo. They do a thing called LeoCon, and a bunch of people go over and play board games. And I was like, sure. He's like, I think you'd like it or whatever. And then he was like, why don't I'll bring over Cthulhu Wars to your house, and this is like one of my favorite games. If you want to invite some friends, we can play it. So I think we did an 8-person Cthulhu War, which took, if you ever played Cthulhu Wars, it took, I don't know, probably 10 hours. Wow. Yeah, because no one knew how to play it except.
Deep end.
He just.
The deep cold end right there. That's like sounds like a polar splash.
Yeah, and nobody liked it. Except, I appreciated it.
Gotta ask, just to set the scene there. When did you discover that nobody else liked it? Like, were you in hour 2, and then like it's of 10, or was it like hour 8? Like people are starting to get defeated, and they're like, you know what? Screw this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it was a discussion at the end or whatnot. I know immediately my girlfriend didn't like it. So immediately she was not into it.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Partners usually are pretty vocal.
You're like,
about
this is going to take 10 hours, and she's already not into it.
Fun. She just likes more. She likes games that she can pick up easier. Like they're not so crunchy. Like Cthulhu Wars, you have to play it 3 or 4 times to understand it fully, and then just walk through a full game like easily. She's more of like, she loves like, I just taught her how to play Sea Salt and Paper, which she loves, games like that, or Scout or something.
Okay,
that's more of her style. But I could, because she's my, I've been with her for years, so I could tell like she's not having it. But I think the other people, it was just like a conversation. So that was like my first introduction to like what a not Monopoly taboo type game is. So I went to LeoCon. I don't remember how far after it was, and Dick and Kapoo have a finished basement, and they have they have 3 tables set up in the basement, and then they have a room, which I could be a bedroom, but they have a table in there, and then upstairs they have tables. So it's like there's probably 20, 30 people there that go to this thing.
Oh,
and
wow.
And I walked downstairs, and I felt like somebody punched me in the face with like pixie dust or something. I was like, what? There's figures all over the wall. There was shelves to the ceiling of board games everywhere, like all 4 sides of the wall. Glass cases of like Hero Clicks figures everywhere, all this stuff, and I was just like, what world am I just didn't know like this existed.
Yeah.
So I was very just wowed with it all. I couldn't believe it. I thought board games was, Monopoly, Chutes and Ladders, and Taboo. Like I thought that's just what it was.
Yeah.
So that's when I started, and I I sat down and played some games, and I was just like, this is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your first favorite game once you got into the hobby? Like, what was the first one where you're like, oh, I want to own that?
I really don't remember. I was probably, I think it was Quacks of Quedlingberg was my first. Like, I played that, and then I went to the game store and bought it, and then I just started buying games just to buy them, because I was just like, I need to try this game. I never heard of this. Like, the cover looks cool. I bought that, or, and then I started a collection. But I think that was one of the games where the Susan sort of evolved, because everything was in a pile, and I'm very naive. Like, I don't know how this works. So I'm just like, don't you guys have like a thing that spins? We can just put these in so we don't have to keep like reaching.
Like I said, you had an idea of how to make something just a little bit better, a quality of life improvement, and you saw it through. But
I saw it through, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be getting away into the Lazy Susan, or not the Gamey Susan, here in a bit. But I did want to go over a few other things before we got there. But it does sound to me like what hooked into you, from what I'm gathering, is like almost it is like what you deal with. It was the accessories. It was the all the figurines and the boards and the boxes, the accoutrement, if you will. There's that sort of like you saw all that at once, and it just like kind of like Scorpion, it like dug its spear into you and pulled you over, saying, "Get over here into the gaming world."
Yeah, I don't know if it was like all the pieces that really I liked. It was just using my brain to like gain points or whatever. To obviously you want to win, but I just liked the challenge of. Like I like games that are a little bit heavier in weight, because I feel like I'm doing something. I don't like games that there's really no thought process into it.
Oh, okay. At first, when you said heavy in weight, I thought you meant like literally like a big box. No. And I was going to be like, you're not going to like
X Secrets of Fortune.
No.
You pay more
but I do like
handling.
Seesaw and Paper, like I really like that game. I like simpler games too, and I appreciate the artwork and stuff like that in games. So I just don't. I'm not like Blood in the Clock Tower. Hate it. I don't want anything to do with that game. So I just can't. I can't. It makes me very uncomfortable. Just 110% lying to all my friends, and I just can't do it. So like I don't like games like that.
Are you generally like just a person who's always going to just say what's on their mind? Like, are you super honest
to a fault? Yes, I'm very honest, and I would say not many people like that. But I'm a straight shooter. I feel like I'm doing, my friends or people I care about more of a service of being honest with them than just, sugarcoating and telling you what you want to hear, which doesn't do anybody any good. I never, it's definitely been bad for relationships I've been in. But, I'm a person that I never mean to, like when I talk or say things, none of it's to hurt anybody's feelings. My mind is like, how can I fix this or solve a problem or get you on what I think is, the proper path or express my opinion. It's not to like put you down or anything like that. So some people understand that, most people don't, but that's just how I am.
So you could do a little bit of bluffing, but straight out lying is kind of out of the question.
Yeah, it makes me very uncomfortable.
Gotcha.
I just don't like it. If that's why I don't like that game.
Quite Superman of you. Approved.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. And so that convention that you went to, I'm sure that came, like how long ago was that? How long have you been in the hobby?
That was probably 3 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe 4, but I don't think it was that long ago.
You don't do anything halfway, do you, Josh? You just jumped right in.
I'm 100. Yep. I'm a 100%. It's all or nothing in my camp. So.
Okay. Well, I did want to talk a little bit about the road that has led you to manufacturing. So obviously that was only 3 years ago. So even further back into the past, you told us that you were a professional DJ who was traveling the world. So was that like your first real occupation out of like school, out of your house? How'd you come into that?
Um, uh, I don't know if DJing was my first like business like on my own, or like working for somebody else.
I guess I meant like, would you have just considered that like, what was your career as a DJ, and would you have considered it your first career, whether it be,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely wanted to take, my plan was to, just be like a famous DJ. Like that was the thing. And I started, I remember the moment I was I was a wallflower. I still am. Like, I don't like dancing. I'm not like a big dancer. I just feel like everybody's watching me. I'm not into it. So I was standing against the wall and I was watching all these kids. I think I was in 8th grade or something at the time, dancing. And I looked at the DJ and I was like, man, this guy is controlling all these people. Like he's making them happy and sing along. Like what he's playing is setting the tone for the night. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, man, I want to do that, because I like being there, but I don't like being surrounded by people. I don't like crowds. So that's I remember I went to and I didn't understand. I used to, I love Beastie Boys and, the scratching and stuff. And I used to take tapes apart, and like, I used to take the tape out and like move it back. I used to take apart like Walkmans and move it back and forth, thinking that's how they did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I didn't know. Like, and then I went into a music store once and I saw like a turntable behind this glass case, and I was like, oh, that's it. Like, that's the thing, So I bought one, not knowing you needed two of them. And then it just, it snowballed from there. I just got into it. I started throwing when I was I'm in high school. I started throwing parties. I would go to the I can't remember what department it was. It was I don't know if it was a graphics department, whatever was in the high school. But I would draw up a flyer. Then I would give it to the teacher, and they would have the kids copy it. So they would make me copies for free, because that's part of like teaching. It was teaching kids how to like copy stuff, or whatever, textile, whatever it's called. So I would get the flyers, and I'd put the flyers out on the school, and then I would rent out a hall, like a VFW for $100 or whatever it was. I'd have a couple of my friends do security, and I'd throw like parties and like DJ and make some money, and then. Before, I was 16, 17 years old, DJing in clubs. And then it just, then I was doing more clubs. And
it just seemed like momentum was on your side. You did this I thought you were going to say you were like 20-something, 21, and getting into it. No, you got into this as a teenager. Wow. Always industrious.
Like, I don't know if you know Roy Barboza from Gym in 94.5. But he would take me to clubs. He's still on Gym, and now I can't believe he's still doing this. But he would take me to clubs, and I couldn't leave the booth because I wasn't old. I wasn't 21. I wasn't old enough. So I did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, no, so many artists you hear, like, especially the ones who get into it early, which is a great benefit to like kind of acclimate to the scenes that you're going to be in at an early age. So many of them talk about that, like Lady Gaga having to basically have her mother go with her to open mics so she could perform on stage. So I've definitely heard that time and time again. Now, you obviously you had this career as a DJ, but I also know that you had another kind of career. The best I would describe it as, and I would love for you to sell it to me in your own words, but it seems like production design or event coordination or something like that. Like, can you tell us a little bit about like, making sets, making props, making stages?
Yeah. So as I was DJing, I used to DJ at this club, and I used to sell mixtapes. So I would have these girls, I would hire these girls, I'd give them like for every CD they sold, they would take $2 or $3 or whatever off of the $10 or whatever it was. But I would make them like dresses and clothes and stuff with my logo all over them, so they like stood out. And the club I was at was called Splash. They asked me how they could promote the night, and since I had the equipment to cut vinyl, I was like, oh, just put the name on these windows like really big, so when people drive by, they're like, what is this and whatever. So I started doing that, and then I was making way more money printing these graphics and putting them on these windows, and they, I was doing it 2 or 3 times a week because they liked it so much they wanted me to do it all the time. And then they had a big glass waterfall thing inside that they were like, can you do something in there? So I used to like take the DJs that were in there and, make these graphics and stick them on there that were really elaborate or whatever. So that snowballed into me. I started a business called Innovative Integration, which is turned into We Create Cool Things. And then I was doing the sets and the lighting for big DJs like Steve Aoki and Armin van Helden and all them, the top 50 DJs in the world. So I was doing all their set stuff for them, and then building these clubs, and that turned into, I sort of got bored of it because it was all the same stuff. It was just, the lights were pointed differently or whatever.
Different gels, maybe.
Yeah. So I just started saying, hey, I can just planting seeds. If you need me to make this, I can make it. If you need me to, make this desk or make whatever. I had a relationship. One of the restaurants his name's Brian. He owns a lot of restaurants in the city. His wife is Tanya Nayak, she does like the great light show and restaurant, and I think it's Restaurant Impossible. So I did a lot of stuff for her. So then she dragged me on the show. So I did the Restaurant Impossibles with her on the TV shows, and it just snowballed from there.
So
again,
one question I have for you. So you went straight from being a DJ to basically producing all of these different set pieces. Did you ever miss being a DJ? Do you ever look back and be like, hey,
100%. I still wish I would. I have an idea of how to come back and do it, but I'm only one person, and I can't. I'm already spread thin enough. So
You're only one person. You had me fooled. I thought I was talking to multiple man right here.
Yeah.
And what is the key as a DJ? Like what makes a great set or performance for a DJ? I know nothing about DJing, and I've always wondered, like, how do you even approach that from a creative standpoint?
For me, it was you're trying to create a vibe throughout the night. So you want to keep like some DJs, like they roller coaster it, which I don't like. I just like to hit people with songs that they either forgot about, they haven't heard mixed with another song, or that are just popular at the time, so that they're singing along to a song, and then I could go into a completely different song, and they're like, oh man, like this is better than the last song I was singing. And they're just like, everyone's hands are in the air, and like it's to me, it's just probably like a chef just cooking someone a great meal, and like, man, that was the best meal I ever had. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Like I've gotten, one more songs and, ovations like at end of nights, which just like makes you feel really good. You're just like, these people had a great time because of me,
Yeah.
And that's just
fantastic.
What keeps you going, it's a lot of fun.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
I think
just never got old.
Yeah.
I don't think it would. Yeah. I mean, if you go out there for a performance and you get feedback from an audience, I mean, there's very few things that are better than getting live feedback for something that you did in front of a large group of people.
Yeah. You're taking hundreds of artists' performances and artwork and mashing it together in a 2-hour time frame, and getting people to dance. Like if people get off the dance floor or sit down, you're not doing your job. You want people on there. So it's like, and you learn, like, over the years, you play a song and everyone clears out. You're like, yeah, dang it, scratch that off,
Yeah.
No more getting jiggy with it.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, I think at a fault, like, I was very skilled in it.
Yeah.
I took it seriously as far as a skill. Like, I never. A lot of people get caught up in the club scene, and I'm not a drinker. I don't do drugs or anything, so I never got caught up in the scene. I was just so focused on the skill and the art of it that I think that might have stopped me from progressing as far as I got. I didn't
Really?
get as far as I wanted. Yeah, I mean, I did.
Do you mean like because you didn't play the politics game, or kiss the right?
Some of it's politics. Some of it's like I didn't. Like, I didn't stay after and bang all the bottle girls. I was my set's done. I'm out. I don't care.
You weren't just a man about town about it. You were almost like this assassin that came in and did the job and then left.
That's it. That was me.
Yeah.
I know DJs are, I banged Sarah on the pool table on the 3rd floor, and I was like, yeah, cool, bro. Like, I was at home, getting ready for the morning, So.
Yeah, I have a plan to have a wife and kids, so.
Yeah, exactly. So.
That's, you know what I will say, and that's like an unfortunate truth, and if there's anybody young listening, you will actually sometimes get punished for your good behavior in certain industries because you don't, like you said, like it's like you're saying, you don't stay behind, you don't mingle, you don't socialize, and if that socializing is something you don't want to do or it's unhealthy behavior, it's it can be a catch-22. I'm doing this for my health, but I'm also not advancing my career because now I'm not a part of the crew, and if I'm not part of the crew, I don't get invited to the next level up or what have you.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. It's a really good lesson to take from this. I don't know if I'm saying the lesson is you sometimes have to do bad things or you have to live a not the best lifestyle, but you have to be aware of those things going in. And there is so much to any industry that goes beyond just talent and skill. It also goes into playing the game, working with people, or making people feel good about themselves, even if what they're doing is not necessarily the best.
There's probably a kid somewhere who's like, Mom, I listened to the Super Secret podcast, and Joel says I have to do bad things to get ahead in life.
You know what, kid? You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line.
Okay, so now let's talk about fine lines. Let's let these two lines converge. Where were you with all of that? The stage building, the production, the events. Where were you with that when you collided with the world of gaming, and how did that prepare you for, contributing to the gaming world, the gaming space?
Because I have the world that I'm in it's a very niche market, and people call me when they need custom stuff made. So nothing I make is it's all one-off, so it's not repetitive work. So over the years I've developed a skill to either come up with an idea, because most people don't know what they want. Everyone knows what they don't want. No one knows what they do want, and they leave it to me to design it. Very rarely do I get a design that like, build this. So I have to take a rendering or something that was designed on a computer and make it real. So that over the years gave me now I'm just like, I can make that. It's no problem. I've been doing it for a year, figuring it out. So I think that prepared me for doing the Meeple stuff. I have an idea. I was, like you said, I was like, how isn't there something that spins on the table for you to, like, why are these in piles? Spread, and that's, and my friends were like, you should make it. And I was like, say no more. So that's what I did.
It's that easy.
Yeah, and then I showed it to them, and they were like, this is great.
So that's where you started with this, with Modern Meeple. What the first product was, the Gamey Susan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of different components to it. There's the trays, which you can buy those separately, and then you have the actual system that spins. I guess, where did you start with that design process? How did you, did you just open up a program like CAD or something like that and just get started, or walk us through the process of making the Gamey Susan, or at least the prototype?
So the reason, like, my goal is to get out of the custom fabrication. So I was also like during this time on the hunt to find something, because I'm trading my time for money basically, and without me it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I was on my hunt for something repetitive, which I got a
Yes.
taste of during the recession. I made school desks for kids. I designed a school
wow.
desk that didn't take any hardware to put together. It was all lap jointed, and I made one, and then I was on Fox 25 and whatever, and then it gave me the taste of like manufacturing, and then I was just selling these things like crazy. So then I was like, this is the ticket, but the cost of wood went up so drastically, it priced me out.
I remember that happening. Sorry, it's just like
Yeah.
one of those like COVID, like talk about memories that come out of nowhere. Like that's a COVID memory. It's like, oh yeah, wood was crazy high.
Yeah, it went really, like I was buying wood, but what's called a unit, which is a full pallet of wood. They're called I was buying them by the units, and
Yeah.
then they were like, this is the last, we could sell to you this. I can't remember how much it was, but it was like, I think I was paying $40 for a sheet of Baltic birch, and then it went up to like $190 a sheet, and I was like, people aren't going to pay
Yeah.
$500 for a desk. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So because I was having my girlfriend was pregnant, and I was we were having a child, and I was like, I gotta, I want to spend more time with my family. Let me think of something. So that's, then when I went to play games, I was like, a light bulb went off. I was like, maybe this is the ticket. So that's what led me to.
Yeah, I have a quick question for you before we go fully into the game category. What was the craziest thing anyone's ever asked you to build? Like, what's the strangest thing you ever had to come up with?
Danny, what do we say about not wanting to know, asking questions we don't want to know the answer of?
I always ask those
nothing-
questions.
I mean, some people want you to build stuff that's just unrealistic. That you can't. They want a car
Yeah.
that's got 20. Looks like an airplane. It's got 20-foot wings coming outside. I was like, you just can't. That's
Yeah.
it's against the law, and you're gonna hit everything. Like that's not possible. But nothing like sticks out. That's I made a big caricature head for Steve Aoki. It was just like his head, like a cartoon version of his head on a stick, and he would like raise it up in clubs and stuff. It was just really funny and wacky.
that's
That
cool.
was really fun. I built a rocket that like lit up and all the stuff, and a girl would sit on it, and the bouncers would carry it on their shoulders like a coffin, and she would have bottles, and then if you ordered like the rocket, it was called the bottle rocket. The girls would come over in this rocket with your liquor and deliver it to your table in this rocket. But it was really cool. Like it all lit up, and it was strobe lights and stuff. And then like the fire in the back, I had like these plexiglass tubes but it was like pixeled light, so it like looked like there was thrusters coming out of it. It was really neat.
That's sweet. I feel like there's just so many things that if aliens came to our planet, we'd have a hard time explaining. It's like, why do you do this? And we're like,
Yeah.
look, just trust us. It's called
Yeah,
marketing.
for sure.
It works.
Yes, exactly.
I can't wait to see the stupid things that the aliens do to sell things to each other. Okay, so you were initially, so just to walk back through that timeline, you were initially designing. You had designed a desk that was, I guess, during the lockdown, it was a desk that people could make at home or easily buy for their student at home. And then when the price of wood went up for that, that's when you started re-examining your the Lazy Susan gaming idea, and that's when you kind of really dug in.
The Susan idea didn't come till years after that, but I was always looking for something that can be done repetitively. So the Susan thing was literally, I just thought that was like 3 years ago. Whenever I got introduced, to the gaming group, and they educated me on. They're like, I was like, who's gonna buy this thing? And they're like, have you ever been to Gen Con? I was like, I've never heard of it, obviously. I've never seen these games before. But they were like, people buy, instead of having cardboard coins, they get metal ones. And instead of having cardboard pieces, they, and I think Quacks, they had the geeked up bits that were plastic. So I just thought that's how it came. But like, oh no, you pay extra. These actually cost more than the game. And I was like, what? So I didn't understand, so they're like, people will buy it, I'm telling you. So part of it was the guidance of my friends, like saying like, this isn't, if you can make this, it's not a waste. Like there are people out there that want, organization, and they want to spend money on things. So
absolutely.
So I made it. I just made one and showed it to them.
That's something that we learned as we've been working on this process with this game is people will be like, are you going to have miniatures available for sale? And we're like, do you want us to?
Yeah.
It's like, is that a thing? We can do that if you want it.
Yeah. This is like if you open up your ears to the marketplace, they'll tell you exactly what they want.
Yeah, because Dick and Kapoo, their house, like Dick, he's a completist. He all-ins every Kickstarter. So
wow.
He wants everything for the game. So some games that he hasn't even opened, but he's got everything for it. So
yeah. Oh, we know the type out there. I've seen people plenty ever since we started this. I've seen plenty of people's wall of shame. The games that they haven't gotten to yet that remain unopened.
Yeah.
But it's also it's so tempting to just try to get everything. So I don't know. But your game components are so nice. I mean, the majority of them that I've seen can be used for mini games. The Gamey Susan and your dice. What would you call that? Like your dice roller? Like it just makes it to where like your dice doesn't go all over the place when you roll them.
We have like a dice tray that there's really nothing special about it. It's just like a regular. We try to offer some things that are the norms, like the dice tray we have. The only thing that we make that's game specific is the dice throne trays that the game sits in, and that has a built-in dice tray into it.
Yes.
You can play on your lap or on the couch or something.
You mentioned there's nothing special about it, but the colors are very special, I would say, right? Like,
like the dice trays are black. We make them in black. We don't make them in colors, but like the insert, like the felt insert that you put in it, you can pick a color. The colors are jam. Like that's our secret sauce is the color material and whatnot. So that's what we lean towards. And it's done. Its purpose. There's a purpose behind it.
Same thing with the Gamey Susan. The apparatus is black, but the trays that you put inside are blue, red, green. All the colors of the rainbow, and it makes it both like aesthetically like vibrant, but also not so demanding on the attention that it takes away from the game that they're featuring. It's a really great, nice. It's just like at that perfect state of muted but colorful. That I don't know. I just love it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to go for I understand that the stuff that I'm making it's not a solve all, it's a solve most. Some people hate on us and like, this isn't gonna work for this game, and it's like your car is not going to take you to every destination. It'll take you to most of them. But that's what we understand that, and we make the two different sizes. The bigger Susan is designed for games that people have your individual player boards. So Tiny Towns, Quacks, Calico, games like that each person has their own player board. Then it can easily sit in the center of the table, and no one's which nobody likes is the resource banker. So it gets rid of that altogether. And it makes the gameplay faster. So you're not waiting for your pieces. You could take them as you will or whatever. The minis are designed for games that have a big player board in the center. You can get two of them, put one on either end. We make different trays so you can put your components in. So each person on either end, the three on either side of the table or whatever, can grab freely. That's what it's designed for.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Very amazing.
How did you come to design something specifically for Dice Throne? What was the backstory with that?
That was a game I was playing at Dick and Kapoo's house at LeoCon. I was introduced to it at the table upstairs, and I can't remember if I started for a 1-on-1 or if it was a 2v2 scenario, but it was just so it came down to like the last roll, and one of the players like didn't use his card, and we saw it, and ended up he ended up killing himself, and then we were alive by like 1 health, and I just remember staying up, and I was like, yes, and I was so excited. And then we played probably 5 rounds of it, and there's so many characters, and it just didn't get old, and I just loved it, but I hated that there's stuff all over the table, so we were sharing a dice tray and like sliding it over, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I made a tray, and those things took off really fast.
I bet.
Yeah, those are. I would say now the Susan is probably neck and neck with the dice throwing trays.
Yeah, and if I understand it correctly, that dice throwing tray, you just need one, and you can put any of your characters in it, right?
Correct. It fits all of them. Yep.
Oh, heaven!
Yeah. Most people
they slightly changed the game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but the guys over at Dice, Manny and John and all them are. I remember going to, last. It was December. No, it wasn't December. It was March of 2023, right? Because we're in 24 now. That was my first convention, and Dice Throne was literally right in front of me. So I was like, oh man, it's like they're either gonna say stop making these, because we want to cut or a license or whatever, or they're gonna like it. And I remember Manny came over and he was checking. He's like, "This is really cool," and I didn't know who he was at the time. And I was like, "Yes, for Dice Throne." It's such a great game. I was like, they're right behind you. Like, you should demo it. And he was like, "Oh," it's like, I know the game. And he had a Dice Throne shirt on. I was like, "Oh," and I still didn't realize who he was. And then someone else came over. And then I saw his name tag. He was Manny. It said Manny, and I was like, so stupid. I was like, I felt such an idiot. I'm like, like someone meeting a celebrity, not knowing it. And I'm just sitting here, be like, "Your game's really great." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, idiot. I drew all the artwork for it."
Well,
so
as a game creator, ourselves, I am looking forward to the day that I talk to somebody who doesn't know who I am, who's telling me about how great the game is. So I think you probably made his day. Trust me.
I think
I hope so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, which is like unsolicited.
But they're very supportive.
Praise. That's great. That's great. Because they should be. To have something so amazing, like perfectly made for their game specifically. It turns. I've seen online. It almost makes me feel like it turns their game into something that looks a lot more like a video game. Like you have all the different what are the components very well laid out. It turns into like a hub or a HUD from a video game, like you would expect on a pause menu to change up your character sheet or what have you.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of it like that, but yeah, for sure. They because I know they have their player mat, so I thought maybe they'd be mad I was, biting into there, but they approached me and said, "We're doing a tournament at the World Series of Board Gaming. Do you want to use your boards as like trophies?" And I was like, yeah. So I did 3 of them. I gold leafed them and said like first place, champion or whatever, and they did those as trophies, and I gave them a couple to as giveaway. They did like a raffle or something. People put tickets in, and they were like, "Your trays by far had the most tickets in it for people to win." So that made me feel pretty good. So that was pretty awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a whole bunch of more products in development right now?
Yeah. So I have too many. My mind is constantly going. So the funny thing is I actually wanted to make tables first. That was my first. I was like, I want to make a table because I have all these ideas, and I'm like, why aren't people doing X, Y, Z? But I was like, nobody. I felt like I couldn't come out with such a big item. I felt like it was important to gain like a following and people that are looking for the same stuff I am. And then they'll be like, "Oh, I have the Susan, or I have this. Now I'll get a table. This will go great with a table, or whatever." Yeah. So that's we got tables that we're going to be doing. I have what's called a Player One that we're going to be releasing. That we did at PAX Unplugged last year. I made 50 of them just to see if people would like them, and they sold out on the first day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
What are those used for?
Those are used. I actually have one here. So these are used
Yeah.
for like. This is what it looks like.
Okay.
Cool.
It's designed so any of our hexes will fit into it. So if you have a Susan, you can put our trays into it, however you like. Doesn't matter. They all trays fit, and it's designed for games that are specific for you. So like Mansions of Madness or Twilight Imperium, where you have your objective cards up here and your resources you're collecting in here. That's what it's designed for. And people were like, "This is so great," and I was like, "Perfect."
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
like the next evolution. It's like you have the thing, I love that you have it for all the different like use cases, and like eventually you're just going to have a device meant for any game. I dare to ask, have you thought about making trying to get a TCG style device made? I don't know what that would look like, but a deck holder.
Well, we have a deck like this. This is our. So we originally have this. This was like our waffle. This was just designed just to hold like cards. So these like plastic things, it was just a waffle. And people are like, what does that do? I'm like, oh, they just hold a card for whatever. But at PAX East this year, people were asking about decks. Can you hold a deck? Can you hold a deck? So this is what I came up with to hold a deck. So you don't have to.
For audio listeners, he's taking the waffle and he's adding like 4 walls. Like in one of the walls is smaller than the others, so I guess it makes it to where the deck will stay in place on top of.
Yeah, so it tilts it
card
back
holder.
just a little bit.
Oh, it tilts it back. Okay, so
it tilts it back. So when you
Nice.
when you pull cards, it's they don't fall out of it. And this
Yeah.
can move. So these walls can move if you have a smaller deck. You can move these in. But
Poker,
this is what we.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. So this is what we came up with, which we haven't released yet, but we're just demoing in, trying to get it through different games. But again, now this will fit in a Susan, and you could have a whole roulette of cards if you wanted to. We did it. We tested out with, I think it's called Thunder Road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the expansion has 3 decks of cards that you pull from to see like whatever your objective or if there's an obstacle. So we put 3 of these in a mini, and then people could just freely pull their card instead of someone grabbing it, handing it down the table. So that this is another thing.
We
We
just
got a dice tower. Go ahead.
Oh, you have a dice tower. Is that
We're working on a
it's-
dice tower that'll
nice.
fit in the center of the Susan, so you can roll dice and it comes out.
Oh, that's
I
sweet.
like, that's really good for those like critical rolls, it's like if you don't pass this, the boss wins, or this is like the final hit on the boss. That central roll. That's awesome. I was just going to say, not to self plug, but I would love to see our game X Seekers of Fortune inside of that deck holder you just showed off there. Figuring out a little
For
photo
sure.
shoot with that would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, especially we're planning on having like a 4-player version of the game, and so having all the decks easily accessible to every one of the players at a table would be key. No, I love what I'm seeing. I can't wait to get a hold of some of your products. So get the.
I'll have to send
I'm
you
sure.
some.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. But I'm sure eventually you're going to hit one of the games that I play on the regular. I need to though your dice tower. What would you call it? Board? But dice tower board.
Dice throne.
For the dice throne?
Dice throne. Or sorry, dice throne. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
We just called it a dice throne tray.
Tray, yeah, your dice throne tray makes me want to pick up my own copy of that game, because it's a fun game, but it's like that makes it even more enticing. I think maybe what was turning me off was, like you said, when you walk around the dice throne table at the game store and it's like chaos. It's like a little bit of a turnoff for me. I'm somebody who likes to have things organized. You wouldn't know if you could see past this camera that I like things organized, but I have methods to my madness, I swear. Anyways. No, this is super exciting. Now, you said you were planning on also a table that's like, is that like your like I don't want to, is that like the first big mountain to climb, like getting a full blown table made? Or did I hear that correctly?
To me, it's not a mountain. Like it's just we want to do a Kickstarter. Everyone's like, you should Kickstart. yada yada. So we're gonna do that. To me, that's the mountain. If
Okay.
you told me to make 5 different table designs, I'd be like done. But because I understand how to make things, it's not, to me, it's not difficult. That's more my. I've been doing it for years, but the Kickstarter world, I've never done it. I've never had my own Kickstarter, so to me, that's the mountain.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great.
Kickstarter's the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Well, we could tell you about it here. Like, just talk to us in July. We'll have probably a lot of opinions and a lot of ideas. That is amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with for that. I know this probably already exists, but the one thing that crossed my mind was the thing I would want is for it to be a functional table, 90% of the time, and then you like remove some sort of leaf system, and then it's like more of a gamer table, because rarely would I have space to have both like a dining room table and a gaming table. So making them one and the same is probably the thing I would look out for.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the standard.
It is. Mm-hmm.
It's got to do that. I'd love to share some of the ideas that I have, like what I'm going to do, but I don't want to ruin it. But one of the big things is that if you want a purple table, your table can be purple. If you want a green table, you make it green. So that's, again, the colors are our thing, and that's our sauce. Like there's Wormwood and Rathskillers, they make great tables and great products, but it's all wood base, and I just the tone, it's all wood tone, it's wood stuff. The reason behind the Modern Meeple is I think people put you in a if you're like, oh, I play board games, they're like, oh, you must play D&D and like to LARP, and it's like, no, I've never played I haven't played D&D. I'd love to try it, but every time I ask, they're like, no, this is a private party and you have to, get beat in or something to play. So I haven't done it yet. But I just, I like clean, like glass and steel and color, like that's, sharp lines. So, there's a lot of stuff out there that's got shields and dragons and that aesthetic to it. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted it to be modern looking. I wanted it to be colorful, because games are colorful. So that's why everything is the hexagon is perfect. The colors, they're not so bright that it looks like candy and toyish, but they're muted enough where it's pleasing to the eye, and you can just keep it out on your table and it'll still look good. And that's sort of the plan that we're following. That it's form and function. We're not just trying to stay on one lane. And we want everything to be like, everything we make is going to be this size, so it'll always fit. If we like the dice tower, if you bought a Susan last year and the dice tower comes out in 2 years, it's still going to fit inside the Susan. Mm-hmm. We're trying to add a lot of value into it, and that's just what we're going for. So hopefully it works. People might not want a purple table, but I think it'll be pretty cool. So
I think there are definitely enough people to buy purple tables, because there's a handful of people who that's exactly what they want, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to
just one component that you switch out, like the felt or whatever. I mean, like same or same structure, but then you switch out like one component. It's like goes from a red table to a purple table to a green table. I'm not sure if that's how it's going to work, but that's what I would imagine.
I haven't thought of that. That is a good idea to have, maybe, just the legs are colorful, or maybe just the inside, that's a good idea. I was just thinking about, the whole thing. It's if you want a beautiful, like, as you can see behind me, the walls here are very colorful. Yeah. Like if I had a red table in here, it would match really well, because there's a lot of red graphics and stuff on the wall.
You better believe red's going to be when I order, it's going to be red.
Yeah. But we have brown too, so.
So it'll be more standard. Are you planning to go to Kickstarter imminently, or is it just like, hey, we want to do this, we just don't know when?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to do it last month, but there's, I'm only one part. Like, I make everything, I design everything. Every order I put in the box, I answer every email, so it's just me. So I have I have someone working on photos and stuff, and then was trying to get past certain. I had a meeting last week with Kickstarter to see like what I can and can't do. So I was under the assumption like since I already have the Susan, like I can't kickstart it. But they're like that's absolutely not true, you know. So they were like, if you haven't had the player one come out, you can do a system or something, you know. So they were very like. I met actually one of the girls at Gamma from Kickstarter, and she's like, this stuff's amazing. Like, you have to kickstart this. I was like, well, help me, you know? And it's just like, I'm trying to learn as much as I can for the Kickstarter because I know it's not a world, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how I got here. And so I feel like I'm just like faking it till I make it, you know?
Yeah.
So I just don't feel, I appreciate it. So I just don't feel comfortable in the Kickstarter space. So if it was one platform and I could just list it, I think I'd feel more comfortable. But it's, you know, you have to market beforehand, and then you like launch it, but then you have to have like, you know, backer kit after that for fulfillment, and there's just so many moving parts that I'm not familiar with. That's slowing the process. But I am ready for it. I just purchased another CNC, a huge machine. I actually finally got in the building yesterday. So I'm ready. I did it backwards, and people are like, you're dumb. Like I have the infrastructure before I have the demand, but it makes me feel more comfortable. I want people to know that we manufacture it. If we can, you know, like for instance, there's this, I don't know if you can see this little tab right here. So I didn't have this tab at first, and I picked it up and they fell out, and I was like, can't have that. But I immediately changed it. It's something I could do. I had a customer, so the Susan comes with 7 of these, and they wanted it for Quacks, and then Quacks came out with an expansion, and they were like, this wasn't what I thought it was. I can't put all the pieces in there. And I said, well, what is it? They said they added another element. So I was like, how about I can make you a tray that this slot is wider. You can put 2 cards in it. Now you can put 2 colors in the middle. And they were like, you could do that? I was like, absolutely. So I made the tray and I sent them, and they were as happy as can be. You know, if I had these manufactured overseas, like I can't do that. So to me, it's may not be the smartest, but it's valuable to me, and if I can make someone make a change and make someone happy with what they purchase, then I'm here for it.
When you look at the prices on your website and then you consider your hand making all of these, like those prices are incredible for what you're giving people.
I know, like that's like it's a double-edged sword because there's other companies that sell stuff that are so expensive, and I still, you know, they're $1 million companies, and I'm like, I don't know how people are buying this, so I can't justify. I would love to charge, you know, $50 for a single hex tray. I just, you know, I want to make this. I want to make it, price the stuff so it's people understand that it's a premium product, but I don't want to price everybody out.
That's awesome.
You know, so my goal is to make things faster. That's another reason why I like to do the Kickstarter. Like, I want to know that I have to make 2,000 of them. So now, instead, you know, I'm eating the cost. But if I could do them faster and more quantity, now, you know, my margins were like this. They'll get wider. So, you know, that's my problem, and it doesn't affect the you know, my customer. Which, you know, will our prices be higher in the future? Maybe. If demand's like way too high and I just can't keep up, then, you know, I might have to raise the prices. But some people say what you say. They're like, I can't believe you're selling it for this cheap. And some people are like, they're like, this is ridiculous. It's so expensive. You know, so I don't know. I'm too new. I don't know what the right price is. You know.
Well, I'm gonna make a bold prediction that there's a 7-figure Kickstarter in your future here, because I think people are gonna flock to whatever product you put out.
I think the first 8-figure.
Did you say 8 figures?
Yeah, that's what I'm going. I'm calling it now. But
I would die. I would die.
Trust me, especially because if you're offering like all the products that you've already produced as an add-on and the table as like the cornerstone, people are going to be like, for the first time seeing your product and being like, well, if I have the table, I got to get the Susan. If I have the Susan, I got to get the, I got to get the whole thing. You're going to have like a full set, like a tier that you just get everything you've ever produced, like in like, quantities of 4 or whatever. And it's just I think that's going to blow up. You have a great, like product offering ahead of you here. I think it's going to be really strong and like catch on like fire. And you've done it the smart way. You've started small with something you could do now and built up over time. And now you almost have a full, like you could basically deck out in a few years, you're going to be able to deck out somebody's entire gaming setup with Modern Meeple products.
If you're listening to this at home right now and you want the gaming table, go to Modern Meeple right now, buy something, and then just leave a comment, make the damn table, and let Josh know he needs to prioritize this.
Yeah, 100%. Like we want it for the Mega Moth offices.
Yeah, the goal is to get one like a demo one, like a prototype one done for PAX Unplugged. But the time goes by so fast. I don't know if we're gonna hit that. But
you get that product made for PAX Unplugged, Danny and I will come by and demo X Secrets of Fortune on top of it with a camera, crew ready to go. And we're going to make sure we get good footage of that table.
All right, I'll do my best. No promises, but we'll see.
Okay.
Nice.
But we are doing a table. It is coming eventually for sure.
Okay. Well, we want to be mindful of your time. I know we have a hard out today, so I just wanted to ask. I personally have one more question. Danny might have a couple more, but I just had one more question for everybody out there. What is something that you believe? I don't know if you have any hacks like people could do today to make their gaming life more aesthetic or more organized. Like, is there any hacks that you could just do right at home, or like go down to Walmart and pick up like a product off the shelf that you would never have expected?
I'm not the person to ask that because my hack is just make it myself.
There you go. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I have no idea because literally the only things I've ever put my components into my games is the stuff that I've made. So I'm sure there's, I know people use, cupcake tins and there's a plethora of things that you can put resources in. Where, it's me, I wanted to look nice as well. So
yeah,
that's sort of where I ended up. So I don't really have a hack.
Your hack was to design something from the ground up and make it and sell it to the people.
Yeah.
So why am I asking you about a hack? You are the whole package. You're the entire programmer. You're not just the hack. All right, Danny, did you have anything else before we go into the next part?
No, I mean, I think this is super cool. I'm super pumped for the eventual Kickstarter that I think definitely should happen. And I can't wait to follow where this journey goes next. I have a feeling Modern Meeples is going to be a big company for years to come. So super excited.
Because I got a lot of money into it.
You got the goods, man. The products look phenomenal. The price point is super fair for what you're getting, and I think you're filling a nice void in the market. So it's just a matter of exposure. I think at this point, the more people that see this, the more you're going to sell, and more people are going to demand that you make the damn table. So
yeah, good.
All right then. Well, I think we're ready to get into the last part of our interview, which is the 8 to rate underrated and overrated lightning round. Danny, can you explain how this works to Josh?
Absolutely.
So he can get into it?
Yep. So this is a segment we call 8 to rate, underrated, overrated lightning round, as Joel just said. I'm going to give you 8 different things. Your job will be to tell us if they are overrated or underrated, and briefly why you think that.
Okay.
Cool? All right. Number 1, Tom Brady.
I mean, I can't say he's underrated because he's just he's so good, you know.
Yeah.
I think he's where he needs to be. You know, I
Properly
couldn't
rated.
do. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do what he does. His proof is in his pudding. I mean, who wins Super Bowls with one team, then hops to a totally different team, and then wins the Super Bowl that year? I mean, it's wild.
That's fair.
So I'm sure to haters he's overrated, and I'm sure to you know, people that love him say he's underrated. But I think he's made a great life for himself and done a good job. So he's rated where he needs to be.
Okay, number 2, deluxifying games.
I mean, I'm the type of person that if I play a game that's got the better bits and better pieces, you can't go back, you know?
Yeah.
So it just, you know, I feel like it's underrated because you just, some game, like I like playing just because I can feel the pieces, or like having, you know, you just want to touch, you know, like Honey Buzz has like the fuzzy bees and the squishy, you know, honey, and I think it if you're into games and you like, you know, the experience of it, you know, getting the better bits really is like the cherry on top. So, and a lot of people probably don't even know that exists. So I think it's underrated.
Gotcha. That there you go. Number 3, New York pizza.
All right, so I might get a lot of hate for this. I am not a pizza snob. Like I used to have a Little Caesars that was down the street that closed. I am happy spending $6 on a pepperoni pizza, and you won't hear any complaints from me. So I got not, you know, to me, pizza's pizza. I know there's thin crust and thick crust, but like, I don't know. I like it all, so I don't really care.
That's acceptable answer. Okay, number 4, Banksy.
Well, I mean, there's some Banksy artwork on my wall, so I think he's underrated.
Nice.
Just to how do you illegally tag stuff and become famous, a millionaire off of it? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It's amazing.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so creative.
Yeah,
My
super
favorite is
creative.
still the picture that shredded it immediately after being auctioned off. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
wild.
that's
Yeah,
the
just
chef's kiss
genius. Yeah, it just doesn't, you know, it's like if I stole people's rims off their cars and I became like the famous wheel thief, you know, and it's just like, how do you even do it? So I just,
Oh my God.
yeah, good for him.
Number 5, matching accessories.
Like color wise,
Color wise or
matching?
aesthetic wise, just like things that go together well.
I'm a underrated. Like my shoes match. Like everything's the same color. That's I'm definitely.
Is that color
a
black?
match.
Team match.
No, I mean I talking about DJing. Like I used to DJ for Puma.
Oh wow.
Oh.
I have probably 300 plus pairs of Puma sneakers.
Oh wow.
You know, all the clothes I wear pretty much is Puma. So that I match. That's just how it goes. Yeah.
Number 6, we're on the latter half here. Collaborating with Gabe from Games with Gabe.
Severely underrated. Gabe
There you
is Gabe, super nice guy. I met him at PAX Unplugged in December, and he came up to me. He's like, "I love your stuff. I'd like to do a video, whatever." And I had like a double booth, and I had a table set up that people could like demo stuff and play games. And I was like, "You could set up here, you know, and if you want to do it." And he's like, "All right, done." And he made a little reel, whatever, while he was there, and I was very impressed. And hung out with him at Gamma, and great guy. Just links people together.
Yeah.
So I wish I had his. I'm like a wallflower. I'm like, hopefully they'll come up and talk to me and say something. And Gabe's like, hey, this is Josh. He does this. You guys should sit down, have a seat.
He's amazing at it.
Yeah, he's really good. So yeah, Gabe's super underrated. I feel like he should or is going to be the next, Stan String or
Grant.
Grant. Yeah, Grant's super awesome too. Like, he's such a good guy.
That's amazing. All right, number 7. We've talked about Gamey Susans. What about Lazy Susans? Are they over or underrated?
I'm gonna say they're underrated. Like, people just, obviously, like, I was flabbergasted that nobody thought of putting stuff on, on a Lazy. Even if you just get like little trays, you could put them on a Lazy Susan, like spin it and do the same thing. It won't look as cool, but it'll the function will be very similar. So I think it's an old trick that lost its luster, so to speak, and we're going to try to bring that back.
Nice. Okay, number 8, last one here. Dropping the beat.
Well, if you're a DJ and you got to have Butterfingers and you got to be dropping that beat all day, keep it going. So super underrated.
There we go. That was 8 to 8. Underrated, overrated lightning round. Thanks for playing, Josh. We really appreciate it.
We really should get
I
that.
was worried I wasn't going to know.
No, man, we tailored it. We always try to tailor it to you.
I appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, Danny, we just had a wonderful conversation with Josh here. Did you have one key takeaway that you could say to sum up, like, what you learned from this conversation today?
Yeah, be bold. If you see a gap in the world, try to fill it. I think that, the thing that inspires me the most about Josh is that he just encounters a bunch of different things and always seems to be comfortable going after a solution for them. That's pretty impressive. To make the jump from being a DJ to fabricating custom items to then, making your own gaming accessories in a relatively short amount of time, I think that's super impressive, and obviously speaks to your ingenuity and talent. But I also think more people should just take the jump, and if there's something that they think that the world needs and they think they might be able to provide it, they should give it a go. I think they'd be surprised where they end up.
100%. I can completely agree. And a gap that I think our audience needs to jump over, it's the likes to views ratio gap, folks. That's right. It is time for you to pull your phone out of your pocket or open up your web browser on your computer, because it is time for you to like this podcast right here, right now, while you're talking to me, while I'm talking to you, I should be saying. Hit that like button, get that confetti. Don't you feel so good? You just covered a gap in real life. But there's still a little bit more that you can do for us in this whole gap filling that we're talking about here, and that is subscribing to our channel, the Mega Moth Studios channel needs your subscription, because you're not only going to get the super secret show, but we have plans for many shows to be here in the near future. You want to find out about all of them? Here's the place you do it. But why don't you go one step deeper and hit that bell? Just give it a ring a ding dings. That way, whenever our podcast is coming out and it is hot off the presses, you can get it while the ink is still wet and get it all smudgy right down there in the comments section. And you know what? Not everybody is a YouTube podcast person. I understand. I like the visuals myself, but not everybody likes the visuals. They just like to hear the audio side of it. So if you have friends like that, you can let them know that you can get the Mega Moth Studios super secret podcast at any of your favorite podcasting apps. That includes Spotify, that includes Apple Podcasts, that includes my personal favorite, Pocket Cast. Just look up Mega Moth Studios and we'll be right there. So any of your friends who are into game design, into game accessory design, into just the entire world of gaming, we're going to have an interview that they're going to be interested in right there on our feed. Go and recommend them a great episode. Danny, really quick, if you were to recommend somebody start with an episode, what episode should our audience recommend to their friends?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like something from Freakonomics or something.
No, Danny. We're talking about the Megamoth Studios super secret
Yeah,
podcast here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll get a good one out there eventually. This one, so here.
Yes.
Yeah,
How about
but
this?
Make,
I'm going to
make
say
your favorite. Yeah, so they'll invite me back. It's like, this is the best show. We got the most engagement. And then they're going to come back.
100%.
I pray that true, and I can't wait to have you back because the engagement was so high on this episode that we broke records. But I will say, okay, like if there's a previous episode, I personally would love to recommend to people, if you have a friend out there who's into D&D, into dungeon mastering, is curious about how that could become a profession, why don't you go back and listen to the episode with Jack Panic, and he walks us through his journey from being just your friendly neighborhood dungeon master to somebody who gets paid to run high quality adventures week in, week out with a set group of people. And he used his skills to earn a living. And that's what you can do here in the world of games. You could find your niche to earn a living, just like Josh here with Modern Meepls and his gaming accessories. So those are all the ways to find us. Those are all the ways to be informed about us. And those are all the ways for you to share us with your friends in the gaming space.
Hey Joel,
Hey, Danny, what's going on?
have you heard about that new game called Le Fleur?
Not enough. Do you have more to tell me about it?
Absolutely, I do. First of all, it is a game about Rococo French garden enthusiasts. And if you don't know what Rococo is, it's like late Baroque, so you know we're talking about cool stuff.
Oh, hell yeah. I love me a art history.
So in this game that you should know about because it is super cool, you're going to play one of these enthusiasts and you're trying to have the best garden party of all the aristocrats who are throwing garden parties. And all the other aristocrats are going to be trying to outdo you. Does that sound like something that you want to do?
Like, competition to be the fanciest boy? The fanciest lad? Please tell me more.
I thought a dandy like you would love that. So here's the thing. You're going to have to go around. You're going to start off with a chateau. It's going to suck. It's going to be plain. It's going to be boring. But that's where you come in. You're going to have to run around Paris collecting stuff to glitz it up and make the best possible garden party. Does that sound like something that you want to do?
But Trip the Light Fantastic and We Paris?
I don't
Count
know
me
what
in.
you just said, but I liked it. Okay. Well, in the end, if you can do it, if you can pull it off, if you can be the most prestigious Rococo garden party, then you'll be declared the host of the Grand Soiree, and you will win at La Fleur. What do you say about that?
I say, where do I find out more, Danny?
You can learn more at DocSominum.com. The game is currently live on Kickstarter, unless you're listening to this in the back catalog, in which case you should probably just look for it on Amazon or wherever you buy games. And buy the game. Buy Le Fleur.
Yeah.
Be the fanciest and the Frenchest.
I challenge everybody at home to try to be fancier and Frencher than me. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. You're going to need it.
All right. Well, back to the show of the Megamoth Studios Super Secret Podcast.
If you can call it that.
But with all that said, I think I'm going to hand it back to Danny for our favorite section of the show.
Yeah, it's time for something random. Josh, you ready for something random?
I was just like, oh, man.
All right.
What do we got?
So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to borrow Joel here to help with this.
Okay.
So here's the game, and I have to admit we devised this game when we thought that perhaps you had more comic knowledge than you do, but that's okay because none of these are super obscure.
Okay.
Basically, what's going to happen is Joel is going to play a defense attorney, and Joel is going to be defending a villain from comics. There's going to be 3 to 5 of these, and your job is going to be to listen to his closing arguments and guess who he's defending based on his closing arguments. So you may not get any of these. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're not super hard. They're not
Okay.
restricted to Marvel and DC. It's just different villains that have come up, and then some, and the crimes that they've committed are unhinged. These are not mapped onto comics. It's just whatever I felt like having them do. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the defense attorney here and let him start with his closing arguments, and we'll give you a chance after each closing argument to guess who he's defending.
I'm going to say up top, Will, you watch this segment thoroughly, because there a chance of me saying something I shouldn't say is going to probably happen. I feel like as though landmines have been laid out in front of me. But let's get this underway. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one right here. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've heard the evidence today. You've heard the evidence about the concert that was ruined. You've heard evidence about a woman becoming a man in order to ruin that show. But was it truly her intentions to become a he and ruin this show, or were they just expressing themselves the way that they have always felt? They are already blue. She just had to become a he. And up until the most recent films in this franchise, this character was quite known for being quite stoic and silent, just like the performers that they became and sabotaged the show of. The performers were blue. She was blue. The performers were silent. She was silent. She just became who she was always meant to be. And with her powers, she was able to become that so easily, step into the shoes of these blue men and become part of their group. Can you blame her?
These are superheroes or from a comic?
Super villains from a range of different comics. So you got to try to figure out what super villain was he describing.
I'd probably describe the crime more than the villain, but
that's fine.
It is a blue female character who can become anybody.
So I don't know the name, who that is, but I know who you're talking about. I believe it's an X-Men character, but I don't know the name. But I do know.
We can give that to you. It's Mystique.
Mystique.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
and like
1
the
point
movie, she was like all like some beautiful actress was her, and she looked like she had like just like a blue, was like painted blue.
Yeah,
exactly.
With like scales or whatever.
Two beautiful actresses, Rebecca Romaine Stamos in the original series, and then Jennifer Lawrence. And yeah, both times they had this just very intense makeup process they had to go through.
Yeah. Yes.
If it was only, but if for it to be that simple, I wonder what the Blue Man Group have to do every night to get ready for their shows.
Oh my gosh!
Which I've seen. If you haven't seen the Blue Man Group, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, sweet. We'll have to check it out.
Okay, let me see if I can get one.
All right.
Let me see which one of these inspires me. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, love knows no bounds, but football knows out of bounds. My client today has just been accused of intentionally sabotaging Taylor Swift's relationship with a football player who ran out of bounds, can we say. And what was she to do? She was so infatuated that she must have stolen a kiss from this wonderful pop singer. But is it her fault that her kisses are poison? Is it her fault that she can't love without harming?
Poison ivy?
There you go.
Yes.
Poison ivy. All right.
I was like, there's no way I'm getting any of these.
Well, you got that one pretty easily, so I'm going to go for one of the harder ones on the list. I think we'll round it out on this one, okay?
Okay. Is this the last one, Joel?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It's because it's the last one I feel like really tingly about. Okay.
Spidey sense?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, New York is a very tall place. How else are you supposed to get around in the air without being at the same level as many people's apartments? These people, they think that, they have no idea that one day somebody's going to come flying by, swooping by, and seeing all their private business.
Gotta be Spider-Man.
He was being chased by Spider-Man at the time of this incident, with his wings, flapping and looking quite like the geezer he is. But ultimately, he wasn't out there peeping Tomming. He was just getting away from some vigilante who's always causing trouble around the city. And this
Wings.
endowed this endowed older gentleman who just happens to have a penchant for pinching off a little bit from the bank trucks as they drive by meant no harm to these folks in their own apartments. They should have closed their own blinds if they were getting to frisky business or
Batman?
putting on the super villain was just happened to be flying by with his wings flapping. And he wasn't the only thing that he wasn't peeking at anything, but he was maybe pecking at some bird seed, up that was laid out for the pigeons on the New York City roofs.
I can't think of any villain that has wings. I have no idea.
All right, Dave, do you want to tell him?
Sure. The correct answer is the Spider-Man villain Vulture. Vulture.
Oh yeah,
this was
no
a little
way.
bit.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
have
it's
a
too
gun to
obscure.
my head, and I would have got that.
I do want Joel. I do want to push you to do number 4.
All right. Okay, like for breaking into. All right, I'll try it. Fine, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen. It's so strange. There's only one gentleman here on the jury. Everybody else is a lady. But, that was part of the voir dire process, and I had no idea how it happened. My client today, he might be wearing metal armor with blades all over it, but does that make him a villain? I say not. Does that make him guilty? Well, what do we have? What evidence do we have in front of us? My client has been accused of walking into a supermarket and turning all the blocks of cheese into sliced cheese without permission. But what permission is needed? What permission is needed? It is cheese. It's still cheese. He didn't defile the cheese. He had made sure to clean the claws.
Is it Shredder from Ninja Turtles?
Ding, ding, ding. You got it. 3 for 4.
Yeah,
That
Ninja
was-
Turtles. I'm in.
I just
Now
want to
Joel
let
has
the audience
to
know.
give the wild chimp a haircut.
Oh no, and kisses too. Wait, I love how chimps do this, they go, they open up their entire lips, flip them back. I was just going to say, when Danny pitched this to me, I said, hey, can you just give me a villain and just remind me of one of their crimes that they committed? I didn't expect him to craft crimes for these villains. I feel like he was writing an entire plot line to the DC universe or something over here.
Yeah,
Went all
technically he
in.
was converted. He was in trouble for converting blocks of cheese into shredded cheese, but Joel decided to improvise there. So,
Oh, shredded instead of sliced. I see.
yeah.
I think that was inspired. Slip the name in there. It
Yeah.
kind of rings a bell. All right, that was something random, and Josh went 3 for 4.
He's a
Is that
winner.
what-
He's
a
a
winner?
Unlike you most weeks, Josh won. Sorry, Joel. I know it must sting to see somebody victorious in one of these, but
I'll get you next time, Danny. I'll get you next
unlikely.
time.
Unlikely.
All right,
I feel like
Josh.
I barely skated by.
You crushed it. You should see the numbers Joel puts up. They're usually in the negatives. So,
I have quite the biased judge, I will say.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll agree to disagree on that one, Danny. But Josh, I'd
100%.
love to thank you so much for joining us for the Mega Moth Studio Super Secret Podcast. I always like to end by asking the guests, Josh, where do you want to be found on the internet? Where should people find you?
It's Modern Meeple, modernmeeple.com. Our TikTok's Modern Meeple, Instagram's Modern Meeple. So that's where you can find videos, pictures. If you want to purchase something, it's all on there. And if you have any ideas, I understand that I don't have all the best ideas, but I have the capacity to change things or make something. And there's always people that have better ideas than I do. So send an email, and I'd be happy to read it and listen and see what we come up with.
Amazing. What kind of customer service is that? That's amazing customer service. You have a direct line to the maker of the product, the person who puts it together by hand, and you might actually entertain your idea of how to make the product suit you better. That is so cool. So Danny, what does Megamoth Studios have coming up?
So, Megamoth Studios has Comicpalooza 2024 coming up, Memorial Day weekend. That's going to be May 24th through the 26th at the George R. Brown Convention Center. I know Joel likes to add a Robert in there, but there is no Robert in there. So if you're listening to something else and you hear Joel talk about Robert, just ignore it. Just ignore it. There's no need. We're going to be there all three days. We're going to be demoing X Seekers of Fortune all day long in the tabletop section. And on Friday the 24th, we will be at the Podcast Pavilion doing our very first live show of the Super Secret Podcast at 5 p.m. Again, that's 5 p.m. at the George R. Brown Convention Center at the Podcast Pavilion on the 24th at 5 p.m. I said probably a lot of the same things in the same sentence, and that's okay. I'm going to stand by it because I'm not reading this off of a script.
Yeah. Well, hey, Danny, professionals get down repetition. I think that your repetition is really going to cement that we're going to be there at 5 p.m. at the Podcast Pavilion at Comicpalooza, which is at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston.
Robert. Yeah.
George R. Robert.
Robert
No, no. You said there was no Robert.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Robert. That's not that thing.
In Houston, Texas, on Memorial Day weekend, the 24th, 25th, and the 26th of May in the year 2024. How's that for repetition? All right.
That was great. And go check out Comicpalooza.
And I think we'd also like to mention that X Seekers of Fortune is going live on Kickstarter on June 4th. So
June
right
4th.
after that podcast appearance, it's just weeks away from us going live. We want you there day one. So go to xseekersoffortune.com to get signed up and find out how you can get a promo card, a special holographic card for just donating $1 in advance to show your support for X Seekers of Fortune. If that's everything, Danny?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, cool.
I think you've said a lot of things.
Well, that I have, and that is all I can say today, because that is it for the Megamoth Studios Super Secret Podcast for this week. I would like to thank our guest Josh with Modern Meepls and my co-host Danny. I have been Joel, reminding you that you must start somewhere. So why not here? Thanks for listening. Theme music by James Hilden, produced and edited by William Wymore.
Can you thank me on more podcasts? This is the first time you've ever thanked me. I've been going through life feeling like you have no gratitude towards my co-hosting. So can you do that more often, please?